Hello and welcome everyone to another biology class of Fun Scholar. I am Shushmita ma'am and I am back again with yet another chapter, and that is reaching the age of adolescence. This chapter is in class 8 in ICSE board, CBSE board. So today we are going to deal with the age of adolescence. Basically, we will know what is the age under which adolescent stage falls, then what are the changes and also the challenges faced during this adolescent stage, and how to counteract those challenges, and what are the healthy habits that can be adopted by the adolescents actually, so that they do not go astray in this age of changing, in which there will be a hell lot of changes going on both outside the body as well as inside the body. So let's have a look in this chapter, and as we go one by one through the topics involved in this chapter, we will keep on getting knowing more and more things interesting that will be related to our day-to-day life also, and also related to the adolescents that we see around us on a regular basis. So let's begin. This is our list of content. So here you can see what are the things that we are going to discuss in this chapter. Adolescence and puberty, there is difference between adolescence and puberty stage, then changes that happen at puberty, secondary sexual characters, role of hormones in initiating reproductive function, reproductive phase of life in humans, how is the sex of the baby determined, then hormones other than the sex hormones that act in our body at this stage, the role of hormones in completing the life history of insects and frogs. So we will not only deal with humans, but we will deal with certain other animals and insects also, as you can see. And lastly, we will talk about reproductive health, how we can maintain reproductive health, as I said earlier also, that how we can counteract the challenges faced during this adolescent stage, that we will also have a look. Now, adolescence and puberty. So, before watching this video, we need to have a preliminary idea about these two terms. So, they are very much correlated with one another, but they are actually not the same thing. So, I will first explain about adolescence, then I'll explain puberty. Okay, so the term adolescence means the period between childhood and adulthood. So, if I write over here, it is the period between childhood and adulthood, right? So during this period, the person is neither a child nor a full-grown adult. He or she neither possesses all the characters of the child, or he or she neither possesses all the characters of an adult, and that is why it is a very crucial stage, because the child or the person is transitioning from childhood to adulthood, and this stage is in between or falls in between these two stages, that is childhood and adulthood. So in other words, you can say that adolescence is the bridge between childhood and adulthood, right? And then what about puberty? Puberty is a stage which falls under this adolescent stage, where the person becomes reproductively active. Reproductively active. So, I mean to say that once adolescence age starts, and what is that age? I'll tell you. So, once adolescence stage starts, it does not imply that that person is capable of reproducing. But when puberty age starts, be it in case of male or female, so it will imply definitely that that male or female is capable of raising the young ones or reproducing. So therefore, when the body of that person becomes reproductively active, that stage is called puberty, and this puberty stage comes under this adolescent stage only. Now, talking about the age of adolescence and puberty, so according to who, adolescent stage is taken from almost age of 12 to 19, right? This is the age we call that adolescence age. We call this age by another term called teenage. And the people or the persons falling under this age category, they are called teenagers. So teenage or adolescence age is 12 to 19 years of age, this range. And if we talk about puberty, puberty will be taken into account when the first menstrual cycle for female that starts, which is known as menarche. It is the first menstrual cycle. So from that month, that female is regarded to be reproductively active. Means means that female has started to produce an egg every month, and that egg is now capable to fertilize with an sperm and then give rise to a zygote or the baby. So therefore, menarche marks the onset of puberty in case of females. And this age of puberty can happen from either 11 to 12 years. Nowadays, it is becoming as early as 8 years also. It is according to the data and the statistics, if we know. So as early as 8 years. So the age is due to the changing lifestyle, due to the change in the environment around us, and these all things have got a huge impact on our genetics also. So overall, the age margin has actually has become earlier, that in some girls, when they are not even aware of these changes going through in their body, so they get menarche. So as early as in 8 years of age to 10 years of age, they can get their first menstrual cycle. So it depends, but in case of boys, it is a bit later, 1 to 2 years later than the girls. So boys have got that sexual maturity, or you can say reproductive maturity, 1 to 2 years later than the girls. Girls achieve that at a very early stage. So puberty basically means the stage when boys and girls they become reproductively active, and adolescence marks the entire age when the person is transitioning from childhood to adulthood, and he or she is going through this entire age up to 19 years. So that is known as adolescence. And when he or she attains the puberty age, so that means he or she is now capable of reproducing children. So let's watch this video.
Here we see a cute young kid who's drawn himself a mustache with the help of a sketch pen. But apart from being cute, the image conveys a lot. Yes, and one such important message which we all can relate to is the goal of becoming an adult. Yes, as kids, we all feel like growing up being like the elders in our family. However, little do we know what it actually takes to reach that stage in life. Is it difficult? In this video and the upcoming ones, we will see what exactly makes us grow from a small kid to an adult. Let us get introduced to the concept of adolescence and puberty in this video. Wait a second, is there a difference between the two terms? Of course, yes. Let us talk about adolescence first. The term adolescence comes from the Latin word adolescere, which literally means to grow up. So is adolescence the activity of growing up? Or is it the changes that occur in our body when we grow up? Or is it simply the phase of growing up? Well, the term refers to the phase of growth. Yes, the time period in which several changes occurs in a kid's body that turns him or her into an adult is called adolescence. This time period is remarkably marked by not only physical but also mental, emotional, and psychological changes in the person. So if this is the meaning of adolescence, then what would puberty mean? Just take a guess. Let me help you with that. If adolescence is the time period or stage of development, then shouldn't puberty be the actual changes? Yes, puberty refers to the process of changes, bodily changes to be precise. Do you know the age group in which the era of adolescence shines upon the kid? Yes, correctly guessed. The age which ranges from around 13 to 19 years is the time of adolescence. And do you know a particular name for this age group? Of course, it's called the teenage. It's the age during which there are many transformations happening in the individual. In simple words, can we say that adolescence is more like a journey? And what about puberty be? Puberty can be thought of as the various junctions where the train halts. Each junction is different from the other and has specific variations. Can you tell me where this journey takes us? Yes, the final destination will be adulthood. And how do we understand that the destination of adulthood has reached? Most important characteristic of adulthood is reproductive maturity. Yes, the bodies of male as well as the female individuals become capable of reproduction. However, the journey is not extraordinarily fascinating as it seems because there are many problems faced on the way. In a nutshell, adolescence and puberty change the individual in many ways. To understand the changes that occur during puberty, do watch our next video.
So I hope now these two terms and the concepts related to them are clear to you. Adolescence is the period of life between childhood and adulthood when the body undergoes physical, emotional, and reproductive changes, typically between 11 and 19. So there is actually controversy. Nowadays, as I told you, the age is starting earlier. So it has actually become way before. So now we consider 9 to 10 years or even 8 years of age also entering into the adolescence age. Puberty is the stage during adolescence when the body becomes capable of reproduction. This is very important, which I told you. The body becomes capable of reproduction. And how the body becomes capable? By the development of secondary sexual characteristics and hormonal changes. So we will primary sexual characteristics means the gonads that females and males have separately gifted by nature. But secondary sexual characteristics, what are they? We will notice separately in case of females and males in this chapter only subsequently. But the puberty is when the body has become capable enough of reproduction. Changes at puberty. This is very essential and important topic related to this chapter. That what are the changes that the body goes through during this period of puberty, and they have been categorized into many parts, as you have seen: physical changes, some are mental changes, some are physiological changes, some are emotional changes, hormonal changes. So many categories are there. So let's see what are those changes through this video.
You must have heard many of the teenagers around you constantly saying things like, nobody understands me, I feel so lonely, and many such things. Do you recall hearing such comments from elders? Even if you have, it would be a rare occurrence. But then why do we always hear such comments mostly from teenagers? Is there any specific reason for this? The basic answer to this question is adolescence and puberty. Now you may wonder why this happens. Puberty gets with it several changes in the person. So do you think these changes will only be the physical changes? Of course not. The changes are mental, emotional, and psychological as well. Let's have a quick glance at the various changes which adolescent individuals go through. Shall we begin with the physical changes first? The most significant change that puberty gets with it is the increase in height. To be specific, growth of the complete body. If you observe keenly, then you will realize that being kids, girls grow in height faster. However, on reaching adolescence, the height of both increases rapidly. Do you know why the growth in height is maximum during this age? The principal reason is bone elongation. This is the time when long bones in our body, that is the bones of the arms and legs, get elongated. However, the growth rate as well as the time required for growth will be different in the individuals. Along with the hormones that bring about the elongation of bones in our body, nutrients are equally important too. The nutrients supplied to the growing bones and muscles make sure that all the parts grow appropriately. Growth of various parts gets us to the next important change during adolescence. And what could that be? Yes, we are talking about change in shape. It is not possible that the body of a person will only grow in length. Even the width has to increase to make the growth proportional. So what differences do we find in the adolescents as compared to kids? In boys, we find that compared to the kids, these grown-ups have broader shoulders. That is the reason why boys start appearing stouter or robust when they grow. On the other hand, girls experience widening of the region below their waist. In addition, the girls seem to have gained weight and become fat compared to their childhood. This was the comparison between different age groups. But within the same age group of adolescents, are there any noticeable changes between boys and girls? Oh yes. Relative to girls, boys have prominent growth in their muscles. This is the reason why teenage boys like to flaunt their biceps to indicate their strength. There is one more major difference between adolescent boys and girls that we are missing out. Can you guess the difference? Let me give you a hint. When you meet a teenage boy after many years, his voice astonishes you. You notice that the voice of the boy starts deepening. What do we mean by this? This basically means that the voice of males starts getting deeper on the note of octaves. In the simplest words, the voice turns somewhat hoarse and low pitch. On the other hand, the voice of girls doesn't deepen as much. As a result, they develop a high-pitched voice. But why does this happen? What could be the reason for this? Well, the major reason is increase in the size of larynx. Now, what could this be? We are all familiar with the term voice box. This is scientifically addressed as larynx. So, are we saying that the voice box enlarges? Yes, it does. And in whom does this happen? It happens in the males. Yes, in girls, the size of voice box increases during puberty. And an amazing fact is that we can see this enlarged voice box. That's right, we have it in the throat region where voice grow. This is commonly referred to as the Adam's apple. And it is due to this that the voice of the boys is deeper than that of the girls. So next time you meet your teenage cousin or friend after a long time, you will understand why and how that person has changed so much. Now I want you to tell me, are there any common changes that we find in both boys as well as girls? Of course there are. We have numerous variations that are seen in adolescents irrespective of whether they are male or female. But in order to know them, you will have to watch our next video.
So from this video, I hope you have got an idea about some of the changes, not all, I know, that the boys and the girls face during puberty. Now, all of them, as shown in this video, are the physical changes, as you can know. That is growth in height, growth in muscles, change in the shape of the body, then change in the voice due to the enlargement of the larynx or the voice box. So these are all the physical changes or the change in the organs of the body or parts of the body, either enlargement or increasing the height. So but along with the physical changes, other changes as stated earlier also are there, relating to the hormones, relating to the emotional changes, relating to the psychological changes. So we'll have a look into all of them now. So here is the list of the changes at puberty, that is increase in height, change in body shape and voice change. All these three things you have already seen in the video. And then here we have increased activity of sweat gland. There will be a C missing over here. So increased activity of sweat and sebaceous gland, which is present under our skin, and then reaching mental, intellectual and emotional maturity. When we are child or children, we are not capable of understanding any crisis situation or a situation which demands us to handle peacefully or calmly. But as we age, we try to actually assess the situation present around us and act accordingly. So that is the time when we reach emotional intellectual maturity, and we know which are the times when we can express ourselves, our sorrow, our joy, and which are the times when we need to keep silent. So these are the signs which show that we are actually growing up. Development of sex organs such as the testes and the penis in case of the males, and the vagina in case of the females. They are also necessary for the product or the reproduction process that will happen in the adulthood stage. Now we'll have a look into this video which will talk about rest of the changes that happen during puberty.
Don't teenagers panic after seeing pimples on their faces? Wait, hold on. Why are we discussing about pimples? Well, that is because it describes one of the most significant physical changes in adolescence. And apart from this, the issue is common in both girls and boys. Development of pimples and acne are very noticeable features of adolescence. Again, the same question will pop up in our minds. Why do these occur prominently during adolescence only? The simplest reason is that during puberty, the activity of oil glands and sweat glands is quite high. Wait a second, what exactly are these glands? The first ones, called oil glands or even sebaceous glands, are those which secrete an oily substance called sebum. A mixture of various oils and waxes is secreted by these sebaceous glands present all over the body. And what will be the use of this sebum? It is meant to protect the skin and form a waterproof as well as lubricating layer around it. And what do the second type of glands function as? As the name suggests, sweat glands are known for secretion of sweat. The main purpose of this is to maintain body temperature and eliminate waste products to an extent. If the secretions from these glands are good for us, then how can these cause pimples and related problems? Well, these secretions are good only in the required amounts. However, if the quantity of secretions exceeds the required amount, then they definitely cause problems. This is what exactly happens during puberty. Since these glands secrete excessive sebum and other oils, it results in the extra amount to ooze out of the skin. However, the skin pores usually get clogged with the extra oil, and these clogs result in the pimples or acne on the face. These were some commonly observed changes that come with adolescence. However, we have not yet discussed the most important physical change in every adolescent. Yes, I am referring to the development of sex organs. Wait a second. Are we saying that these organs develop during adolescence only? Yes. The reproductive organs, which are also referred to as the gonads, are present since birth, but develop completely during puberty. And what does this imply? It implies that the male or the female is now physically capable of reproducing. So, what exactly do we mean by development of the reproductive organs? If we take the case of males, then the development of testes takes place. This is the site for production of male gametes. This is the sperms. Similarly, in case of females, we find the development of reproductive structures called ovaries. These ovaries are the location where egg cells, that is the ova, are produced. That is the reason why we say that puberty is a stepping stone towards adulthood. But are the changes during adolescence limited to the physical ones? Of course not. We have seen that the changes during puberty will include mental, intellectual, and emotional ones as well. So, what exactly will happen in this case? In order to understand this, we need to take help of the theory put forth by the famous German American psychologist Erik Erikson. In his theory, the stage of adolescence is bestowed with the title Identity versus Role Confusion. Is the title self-explanatory? Yes, it is. It tells us what the adolescents go through. Along with all the physical changes, adolescents experience many changes in their thinking patterns as well. They grasp and learn things better, and they usually understand emotions better. they start behaving independently. At this stage, many of them find themselves confident enough to take a few decisions as well. So, as per the theory, individuals during adolescence either turn successful while searching their own identity and their responsibilities, or become totally confused as to what exactly is happening with them in life. We know that every individual is unique. Similarly, characters seen in adolescence, right from physical changes to the mental development, are subjective to each individual. In simple words, adolescence is an age just like wet clay. You can mold yourself into the most appropriate form. But for this, all you need is good morals, the right direction, and an elderly guide to lead you to the correct path. With this, we come to an end of the topic, changes occurring during adolescence. So what next? In the next video, we have to learn about the concept of development of secondary sexual characters.
So here you have understood the rest of the physical changes regarding the development of the reproductive organs, with ovaries in females and the testes in males, then hyperactivation of the sweat and sebaceous glands leading to acne and pimples, as we have seen, and also reaching mental, intellectual and emotional maturity. And as they have stated, Erickson has told that either they will be very much mature enough to understand and take good decision about their own life and what are their goals and aims and what they want to do further in future, or they will be totally confused with their identity and their own role or their own purpose in life. They can also actually lose their path in finding this purpose in life. So it is very important that they are given the best guide during this time, so that they, according to their own potential, because this knack for something or this potential varies individually, so according to their own potential they can choose their career options during this stage. Increase, now each of the characteristics have been explained in detail over here. Increase in height, first of all. So the most conspicuous means visible change during puberty will be the sudden increase in height due to the increase in the long bones of the arms and the legs especially. So how can you know how much percentage you have increased suddenly during puberty? So here is the formula to calculate this. So present height in centimeter, then percentage of full height at this age and into 100. So this is actually the formula to calculate what will be your approximately total height at the end of the adolescent stage. This percentage of full height at this age, there is a chart from which you can take. For example, your age is 15 and so your present height at this 15 years of age, and this percentage of full height at this age will vary for boys and girls. So from that chart you will take that and then multiply the entire thing, this fraction, with 100. Whatever result you will get in centimeter, that will be your approximate full height at the end of the adolescent stage or during your adulthood. Now, change in body shape, we have already known that during adolescence, there will be noticeable changes. The body shape in case of the boys will be more muscular and sturdy, and the shoulders will and the chest region will be broad, whereas in case of females, we usually get to see the shape getting broader or the waist getting wider due to the change in the skeletal structure, and also the deposition of fat in this region, the pelvis region particularly, and the shape is either a pear shaped body or an hourglass shaped body. And the changes means this growth and the change in body shape is driven by hormonal activity. So obviously in this stage there is a spike in hormones, a sudden rise. So the growth hormone, which is secreted by the pituitary gland, that is also secreted at a high amount, so that there is a rapid increase in the height. Then the thyroid gland secretion is also high, so that there is quick development of all, and also the metabolic activity during this time is also on the rise. So the digestion process, the appetite, everything during this adolescence age is very much hyperactive. Voice change. So during puberty, the voice box or larynx begins to grow, leading to hoarse voice, we say sometimes, or deep voice in case of boys. And this enlargement, as stated in the video also, can be visualized from outside, and that is known as Adam's apple. There will be a heap noticed on the neck region, frontal portion of the neck region, which will be called as Adam's apple. And on the other hand, female's voice will turn into a voice with high pitch, and or we can say a shrill voice. In adolescent boys, the muscles of the growing voice box may sometimes go out of control, causing the voice to crack or become hoarse. So this one I told you, temporarily this phase lasts for a few days or weeks before the voice stabilizes. So since you are going through a change, so sometimes the path may seem to be very disturbing. That is why the voice, when the larynx is deep in or enlarging, so may crack or become hoarse for some days, but again it will become stabilized once the enlargement is stable and there is permanent voice for that boy. Increased activity with sweat and sebaceous gland. So this has also been explained well in the video. The sebaceous glands and the sweat glands increase their activity during this stage, and more sebum or oil and sweat, they are produced as well as secreted. But as they are secreted at a higher amount, so they clog the skin pores and they lead to the development of acne and pimples, and this is common for both adolescent boys as well as adolescent girls. Reaching mental, intellectual and emotional maturity. So at this time they actually start thinking differently. The people who are creative enough, so they are at the peak of their creativity during this stage. The boys and the girls can think out of the box, which nobody else or the adults can ever think. They can imagine the things that nobody else has ever given or ever thought about, and they can actually go out of the way so as to bring solutions to any conventional problems. So all this, because the activity of the brain, that is also very high, and all that is also at its peak level. So it is essential that during this stage the positive energy which is present in the adolescent boys and the girls, so that energy should be stabilized properly. So they should be involved in physical activities, in sports, in co-curricular activities, so all of their talents can be nourished, and all of their whatever their hidden or other hobbies are there, that can also be cultured, and they don't actually need to focus on any of addictions or bad habits that can develop during this stage. So this period is when the brain has the greatest capacity for learning. So during this stage, whatever you can undertake any course, and you will be able to have the best grasp of the new things that you are going to learn, because the cells in the brain are developing at a high rate, and whenever new cells are being produced or new neural connections are being made in the brain, so your brain has the capacity to retain whatever you have learned recently, or whatever you have been taught for a longer duration of time. So it's important that these changes are natural, part of the growing up. So these changes should be channelized properly in order to learn various positive things that can actually come handy later in your life. Development of sex organs. So we have already discussed this, the development of the gonads, both in case of males and females, which will produce the respective gametes for fertilization and reproduction process. So in case of males, we have got the testes, which will produce sperms, and that sperm will come out through the penis. And in case of females, we have got ovaries, and these ovaries will release one egg every month, leading to the menstrual cycle and menstrual bleeding, and this egg will come out through the vagina. Now we will know in our next lecture about secondary sexual characters. We will keep the discussion up to this only in this lecture. So stay tuned and do watch the next part of this lecture to know more about the development of secondary sexual characters as well as other aspects of adolescence. So we will wrap up for the day with this chapter. Thank you so much for being associated, and do reach out to us, that is Fun Scholar Academy, to know more about us and also for any topic that concerns you. So I am Shushmita ma'am signing off for now, and I will be back with the second part of this lecture soon. Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.